I can tell right away that you're good at what you do. You're comfortable. You got a great personality. You've got charisma. You know what you're talking about, and that's most of it. It's you're not just trying to make money. You're investing your time into something that you know you enjoy, and hopefully other people enjoy what you're doing. And I think it's important to do it for you, and you'll find that audience by just being who you are.
I'm gonna write them all again. Funny how
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
How you doing, man?
Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just getting over a cold and just did my podcast and gearing up for a big surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, you're mentioning. I know it's. I'm so happy we're finally doing this. I know this has been a while in the making, but I really appreciate this, man. It's an honor to speaking with you today. So thanks.
Hey, we're here. We're doing it. What's this background? Is that your studio?
It's my studio space. Yeah, yeah. I know some people think it's like a green screen, but it's real. Like I have all my some of my favorite movies. I got my Simpsons arcade machine there, but I'm actually moving to a different place in the next month, which hopefully will be even nicer. So.
I just
Yeah.
interviewed Nancy Cartwright, who is Bart Simpson on my podcast.
I saw. I've been trying to get her for so long, man. I had Pamela Hayden last year. She plays the voice of Millhouse, but she was retiring. So, but yeah, Nancy Cartwright. That's the my favorite. Bart
Yeah,
Simpson's
she was great. She was a great guest. She was really fun, and she did the voice constantly, and I loved it. It was fun.
the inner child of you must be just like going crazy.
Oh man, it was just like hearing those voices. I was like, this is what I grew up with, eat my shorts and all that. I don't even do any. The only voice that I do is like I can't do it because I have a cold. But it's what's his name? It's like my cat's breath smells like cat food or
Oh,
something,
Ralph Wiggum.
right? And she does Ralph Wiggins, so she did it for me. And I sleep in a drawer. I love that character. It was so good.
She does Bart, Ralph. I think she also does Nelson Mutz.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Classic.
amazing. The classic characters that we grew up with. It's unbelievable. And today I
Yeah,
had, or yesterday I had Fred Armisen, who's amazing, SNL,
amazing.
and I had Kellen Lutz from the Twilight movies today. So it's been busy. So I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, I gotta say before we kick off with the interview, I've been a big fan. Well, first off, I obviously watched you on Smallville, growing up, but also your podcast, man. I tune into as many as I can.
Thank
You're
you. Thank
phenomenal. You're my favorite host right now. Like that does these things. Like I'll be honest with you, like for talk shows, obviously Johnny Carson for me was always my favorite.
Me
Um,
too. Me too.
yeah, really, yeah, he's the
Great
OG,
show,
right?
man. Did not know that, Ed. I Weird Wild Stuff got a great show. We got Buddy Hackett is here. I love, I love Johnny because it reminds me of childhood and sitting with my grandparents and them watching Johnny Carson and. But I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. I've been doing it for a while now, and I think I've interviewed over 400 guests, and it's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's rewarding, and I'm glad when people tell me they like the podcast. In fact, a lot of people where I'm out in public were like, "Dude, I love your podcast." I'm like, "Not just Lex Luthor. This is great. This is cool."
Yeah,
So,
it
thank
must be
you.
really nice. Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely getting into that, and especially there's other things I want to get into about your book and everything. I do want to kick things off with Smallville, if that's okay, because obviously,
Go, baby. Let's
big
do it.
fan, and I know it's the 25th anniversary, which is crazy. Like I said, I watched it when I was a kid, and to see now how many years it's been, really cool. It's now streaming on Netflix, and it feels like it's having a major resurgence, especially with the younger audiences discovering it for the first time. Why do you think the show still holds up and continues to connect with a new generation?
Well, thanks to Hulu and now Netflix for South America, Mexico, some parts of Europe, but there's like this new audience, and I think that it's such a great show not only for individuals but for family. Like it's a good family show at times. It can get a little dark, especially when Lex is doing what Lex does. But I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I go to these conventions and the people that are there that it affected their lives. They tell me stories about watching with their dad when their dad was alive, or vets from the Gulf War, watching the DVDs, and you never know how much something really affects people until you start talking to people, and it's amazing. I think and doing the rewatch podcast. Tom and I are doing Talkville, the Smallville rewatch podcast. And I gotta tell you, it's like I'd never really seen the show, and now I'm watching every episode, and I've really been able to appreciate it and just kind of step back and watch it and laugh at myself at times, and then also go, hey, you did a pretty good job. So it's nice to see that people are still listening, and it's our 25th anniversary. We're going to do a cruise on Cruiseville. It's called Cruiseville, so Smallville fans, there's already hundreds of people going, and it's with a lot of the cast, and then we're doing a Nashville reunion in November for the 25th anniversary. So it's just, knock on wood, pinch myself, all that stuff.
And this is the second year for the Cruiseville. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it was such a success last year that this year it's even bigger success. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, people could go swimming with pigs with me. They can go swimming with reef sharks with me and Tom. Swimming with stingrays with me and Tom. I'm throwing a pajama karaoke party on the cruise. So we're doing a Smallville Nights evening. So, what's great too is the fact that Tom's on board now. Tom Welling, we've become really close, and he finally listened to me and said, "All right, I'll do conventions. All right, I'll do the Talkville, the rewatch podcast." And he's more open now because he sees what an effect it has on people and the show, and it's just Smallville is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and I've seen bloopers, like Smallville bloopers and behind the scenes photos, and you two, like, it looked like you guys had such a real bromance going on, like, back then, and it's clearly carried on to today. But like, what's
Yeah.
a funny memory with Tom that still makes you laugh today that you guys kind of look back on and reminisce?
We just always goofed on each other. We were always, some days were hard, and when he was in a bad mood or something, and I got upset and I was kind of pissed off about something, he would love it because it would take it off him, and he'd be like, "Oh my god!" And we just got a kick out of each other. And when we were doing our scenes, there's sometimes where we'll be going, and then I'll look at him afterwards, and I'm like, "Do it again, more intensity, more intensity." And they'll do it and go, "Yeah, yeah." And he would do the same with me, and we would really help each other out to get to those places. And we just had a great time. We laughed constantly on that set. And now we're able to reminisce about it. And, it's like we miss it. We miss the camaraderie and the family-like atmosphere. Because the crews and the other actors, you spend more time with them in 7 years than you have with your family ever. So it's pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, and I gotta bring this up because it's so funny. When I was doing my research, there was a video where you were talking with somebody. I forgot who it was, but they joked that you actually look better bald than with hair. And like,
Really?
I don't know who was. Do you remember who that was with? I don't even remember now. It was
I
a
don't
long
know.
time
Some
ago.
people will say, "Shave your head, you look better bald," and I'm like,
Well, dude, I gotta say, you really suit it, and like, but I gotta know, like, what do you remember about the first time you shaved your head to play Lex Luthor, and what was your reaction seeing yourself bald for the first time, and knowing that I gotta do these, like, be like this for years and years?
I honestly thought because I was with the other actors were so beautiful, like Tom and Kristen and Eric Johnson and Allison. They were all really good-looking people, and I've never had a lot of self-esteem with my looks. And so I thought when I shave my head, they're not going to want this weirdo. I got a bump on the back of my head, and I always thought I was going to get fired because I just wasn't good looking enough. And I always say that what's more important is your chops. Like, I studied acting. I bring everything to a character, so I knew that was the only way I was going to stick around is if I was just really good. You just be the best you can be. And so that's what I went on, and so they didn't fire me. But it was when I saw myself bald. I'll tell you what. I remember looking in the mirror right when I was bald, and I didn't hear anything around me. I just went, "Now I see it. You're this guy, dude. You're this guy. You could do this." It was in my own head. I never really mentioned that before, but I do remember that thinking, okay, this helps. This helps me feel like more of this guy, you know. Me with hair and my t-shirts and just joking around, but when you put a suit on and the dress shoes, shaved head, something just changes in you. Now you're becoming this part, and all those things are so important. Makeup and hair or lack of hair, wardrobe, all these things help you build a character. And I started like early on. I was like reading, about Alexander the Great and all these like conquerors and this and that. And after a while, I was like, all right, you don't need to live this. You could just say you can just pretend you are acting. So yeah.
I also wanted to say about Smallville. It had one of the actually not one of the best. It had the best openings of any TV show I've ever.
Oh
The
yeah, the
Somebody
pilot
Save Me, man.
extraordinary. And the extraordinary pilot, David Nutter directing that pilot with the meteor shower, and the story like just takes off, and the show is it's just a really good show. It was really well made, especially for its time, for 2001, 2002. TV wasn't like that. We started that whole little movie every week. It felt like, and look what it started. Before us, there wasn't any superhero shows that were like that. But after us came Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and Lois. All those shows came on after us, but it was us who sort of were the reason those shows even went on the air.
Yeah, and the theme song too. When you and Tom and I are rewatching the show for Talkville, when that theme song comes on, there's no way you're skipping that, right? Because it's just so iconic. That
I
Somebody
skip
Save
it.
Me.
I skip it.
No.
Yeah, because I got to watch every episode now. I don't need to see the intros. I
I
know the
thought
intros.
I thought you were gonna sing along with it when you every time it comes on, man,
No,
it's like a
no.
party for me.
I respect the song. It's a great song, but after you hear a song, even songs you love, you listen to them over and over for a week, and then you're like, all right, I'm done. So that song's been around for 25 years, and it's when I hear it, I'm like, there was a funny moment where I was in Mexico, and I was doing a autograph signing, and I went out one night, and there were these booths and people selling things, and I noticed that song was playing. So I got my camera out. If you go to my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum, I went in and I go, "What's that song?" And they're like, "Oh, this." And then I go, "Oh, cool." And then the guy turns his phone around and he's watching Smallville, and I'm like, I'm on that show. So if you go to my Instagram, it's so funny. He just happened to be playing it. He didn't believe me. He didn't believe that it was me.
He was playing it on his phone to the speakers. Like he was playing it.
Yeah, he was playing. He was watching an episode of Smallville,
That is so
unbeknownst
cool.
to him, and Lex Luthor standing in front of him, and it made all the news outlets. You should check it out. At the Michael Rosenbaum. Look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I follow you. I'm definitely gonna. I must have missed that. That's so funny, man. Um,
Yeah,
that's so cool. And obviously Nicholas Holt now. He's the new Lex Luthor in James Gunn's universe. You
yeah,
had him on your podcast, and he said
sure.
that your version of Lex helped inspire him while preparing for the new Superman film, and
Yeah,
that really touched your heart because obviously, Gene Hackman. You look at Gene Hackman as your favorite Lex Luthor. Nicholas Holt
yeah.
looks at you as you're his favorite Lex Luthor. What did you think of his portrayal of Lex in the new film overall? I know you had a part in that film as well too. So
Yeah, small part, but Nicholas is such a great actor, and he's so personable and charismatic, and he takes his craft seriously. And I didn't think he'd have any issues with playing this part. I knew he would kill it. And I just told him. He asked me, like, I guess, advice, and I just said, dig deep, trust your gut, take chances, make it your own. And he had James Gunn behind him, giving him direction. So I was never worried. Um, but people, I think people really liked his performance, and I think he's great. Um, yeah, I love Nicholas.
yeah, and well, I gotta say, James Gunn, like the new Superman film that came out last year, it was a huge success. I really enjoyed it. I felt it had that that 70s 80s colorful charm that I felt like Man of Steel
Yeah,
didn't have. So I was really excited about that. And James Gunn, everything he does, from Guardians to this, I believe he did. He also do the Scooby Doo movies as well, the live
yes,
action
he
ones.
did. Yeah, he did the
Yeah,
Scooby Doo
he's
movies.
great, man. But what excites you most about the direction James Gunn is taking with the DC universe?
I respect anyone who has a vision and goes with it and doesn't stop or doesn't compromise their vision. And I think James knows what he wants to do, and he's got a lot of brilliant people around him, and he doesn't. It's not all about what he wants. It's like, this is what I want. How do you make my vision come to fruition? How do you make it real? How do you make it? How do we put that on the big screen? And so, if you surround people with, surround yourself with talented people, and you utilize that, you use them to help. That's when you are at your best. And I think directors that don't listen to the people around him who know what they're doing, then they're only hurting themselves and the movie. And I think he's like, he knows what he wants, and he gets it. But he also hires great people around him as well.
No, he's incredible, man. Everybody who's involved, like you could just tell like the passion they all have. There was a video that was like circulating, it went viral. He was like talking to David Cornsweet, and David
Yeah,
Cornsweet, where he's like trying to confront Lex, and he's like, yeah, he's like, your actions or your feelings, like he was talking to him, and you can see how James gets, he knows these films. When you see a director
yeah,
that does that, you know that universe now is in good hands. These films are in good hands.
yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. I think trust is a huge thing. If you're an actor, if you trust the director, if the crew trusts you, then everyone's along for the ride. And again, he has a vision, and he has such a uh, DC Marvel vocabulary that runs deep, that he's able to bring a lot of things to life that some people, many people wouldn't look at, or bring those ideas to the big screen, and he does. So, and I saw some early stuff of Supergirl that he showed me, and I honestly thought it was awesome. Like
I'm
what I've
s-
seen, I honestly was like, this is awesome.
I'm so
This
excited, man.
this is cool. So I can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. June 26th, I think. Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
pumped, man. I know at the beginning I mentioned like of this episode that I've been rewatching Smallville, and because it's on Netflix and I've just been binging it now. I'm almost on season three again. It's so cool because like okay, I'm like a sucker for like nostalgic things, right? I have like an old soul, and I'm wondering if there's anything from the show you think maybe like didn't age well. And I say that in all due respect, in the sense where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it had that because the early scenes it had that 2000s feel like
You
in
gotta
but in the best
remember,
way possible.
yeah, special effects. They were pretty in the beginning. They were like, people were like blown away by the effects. They were really amazing. And but as you go on, there's some effects that don't work quite well because technology has taken off in so many directions. But for the most part, the show pretty much holds up. There's some moments in an episode or two here and there that you're like, oh, but you let it go because you know that it was 2000, the early 2000s. So it's like anything. I'm sure the effects now in 25 years, people will go, oh, they're way better now. It's just how things evolve.
It's the same thing, yeah. And I know like even with like some of the songs that they put in there, like I know that the iconic "Fight for Fighting" Superman songs in there too. Like
Can't stand to fly.
I'm not that nice. Yeah, but that's what made the show. It had moments like that felt like people would call it corny, but to me, that's what gave me those like that nostalgic rush where it's like, oh, this is what I
But
live for.
I think, look, if you're watching superhero stuff, and whether it's DC or Marvel or cartoons or anime, so it's just, if that's your world, then you love nostalgia. The music, the effects, everything sort of is uniform, and it's what makes a great show is that you could watch it 20 years later, 25 years later, and still enjoy it.
Mhm.
A lot of shows you're like, I can't even watch that now. It doesn't hold up. A
But
lot of
this one
movies,
does. This one
but this
does.
holds.
There's a lot of movies that don't. I trust me. I
I know, but this holds up. So it makes me
absolutely.
happy. Yeah,
Absolutely, man. And it's so cool to see now that you wear so many hats. You're an actor, podcaster, producer, writer, and you even wrote a kid's book called The Talented Farter. I got to bring this up. It, it
yeah.
it includes your real fart sounds. Is that true?
Yeah, it's called The Talented Farter. I had this idea for a book, and it was like, I want to use my own farts. I want it to be a story about a kid who doesn't know what his talent is, but he has this talent to make his farts sound like things that you hear every day, like the empty sound of a ketchup bottle being squeezed or fireworks or whatever. And so my friend and I, John Heater, I would sometimes send him a fart, and he goes, "That sounds like a propeller on a plane giving out and like a plane crashing." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then I thought this idea: what if this book is around all these sounds and these images, and it's a success, and it's I wanted to make something that's not only fun for kids but for families and a good gift. It's on Amazon. It's called The Talented Farter. I think you'll love it. It's a hard book. It's really a beautiful book, and I'm really proud of it.
But I have to know, man, like, how do you decide which farts make the cut? Like, how do you decide that? Are you
It's
just sitting
about
there just farting all day?
which farts fit the story. That's what it's about. It's like this fart, we can go from this to this to this. And so there's like 20, 30 different farting sounds, but you're like, you know what, these farts, let's bring them right here and this. So, and then I wanted the fart it not to be like another fart book where the farts aren't very loud or they're generic. These are real, they're longer, they're louder, and it's a fun book. So I hope people continue to find it.
That's awesome, man. I want to bring up your podcast. Obviously, I mentioned that I'm a big fan of it. You've had so many incredible people on. One person who is probably the nicest person in Hollywood is Keanu Reeves. You got to talk with him, and you also
Uh,
got to work with him in Sweet November.
yeah,
What stood out to you most about that conversation? He just looks like such a nice, but also wise person too.
I think I always wanted to get Keanu, and one of the reasons was I worked with him, and I thought he was such a special guy and such a cool guy, a great actor. I know people give him shit for, some things. He's not the most diverse, but like he knows who he is. He knows his world, and he plays those parts with such charisma, and I think he's just a legend, inside out. Very seldom do you find somebody that you look up to not only as an actor but as a human being. And he touches a lot of people's hearts, and he's very thoughtful. He's empathetic. He's just a great person, and that's rare, especially in the Hollywood. In Hollywood. So it's all about when the cameras aren't rolling, who you really are. And I think Keanu is altruistic as much as you can be, and I think he's got a heart of gold. And I wanted him on the podcast, and I got him, and he was everything I'd want him to be. He was like, I go, "What do you do when you get anxiety?" "Well, Michael, I like to sit with my thoughts, close my eyes and just let everything come and go." And and just like hearing him, I'm like, you're awesome. You're awesome. So I've had a lot of luck to interview great people like William H. Macy and J.K. Simmons and Keanu, and it's just hearing their stories and letting people know that actors are also human beings and that they struggle, and we're just like you, and we really are. It's just like, yeah, we had success, yeah, we did a movie or we're on a TV show, but we go through life too, and people die in our life, and people are, we face adversity, and we get sick, and we get anxious, and we get depressed. And I wanted to make it a platform to open people's eyes to understand that celebrities are just like us. They're just, we're all in this together.
Yeah, and that's no, it's a really good point. And also for people who also don't know, like when they think of actors too, there's a whole misconception that they're always rich, they're always busy working. A lot of actors, man, they go through hills and valleys, right? Sometimes they'll be really busy. Sometimes they
Yeah.
can go years without doing anything. And I think there's that whole
Somebody,
misconception.
yeah, some people will do, they'll do a couple years on a series and they'll make a little money, but then after living and taxes and agent, put it this way, if you make $100,000, immediately 50,000's gone because of taxes, agent, lawyer, manager, or business manager, and then at the end, then it's like then you have to live. So then you take out another $30,000 to live for the year and pay your mortgage. Now you might have saved $5,000 from that. So and then when the series is over, if it ends prematurely, you're kind of like, all right, I have this amount of money left, and hopefully I'll get another job. I don't know who's going to hire me. I don't know. So you never, unless you're a huge movie star that makes $20 million a movie, or you're always having to look for your next job and to make ends meet. It's most actors are unemployed. Most actors make less than $20,000 a year. There's very few that do really well and continue to do well. So it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of it's just difficult. It can be very difficult, but it's also very rewarding. And I'm super grateful that I've had a career where I've been able to make a living and help my mom out or help my friends out or give to charity and just be smart and try to just have enough to keep going.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you know, I'm also an actor as well. I'm starting out in the industry. I've been doing it for a couple of years.
Nice.
And my brother and I, we did our first feature film together. We did it all ourselves and everything,
I
and
love that.
it
That is
was
the
great.
best.
And
I love it.
thank
Congrats.
you.
I directed my own movie too for very little money. It was like $600,000 movie, and I shot it in Indiana with Miranda Baccarin and Nick Swartzen. It's a raunchy comedy called Back in the Day. It's really fun
Oh
and
my God,
super.
yes, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen, I'll be honest, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, go see it. It's just a fun, laid back movie from the Midwest. I think you'll really appreciate it. But like you said, it's like just do it. So many people they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. They don't just get their friends together, go make a movie. Like live your life. Just do whatever you want. Like it's all right in front of you. You can do anything you want. You
You
really
really
can.
can, yeah. When I started my podcast, I'll be honest, I never thought I'd be talking to people like yourself or doing junkets or going to red carpets. I was doing it in my basement, talking to friends at first, and it's like I had people tell me, people who I wasn't really close with, they would comment on my stuff or they DM me going like, "Oh, congratulations, but you're not gonna be doing this for long, right? Because it's hard. You can't get all these big people." And I go, "But if someone's done something in life, it's possible for anybody at that point.
Yes.
What makes someone different than anybody else? Everyone has the same
Good.
everyone could
Yeah.
go after what they want."
Well, the thing is, like, I can tell right away that you're good at what you do. You're comfortable. You got a great personality. You've got charisma. You know what you're talking about, and that's most of it. It's you're not just trying to make money. You're investing your time into something that you know you enjoy, and hopefully other people enjoy what you're doing. And I think it's important to do it for you, and you'll find that audience by just being who you are. That's what I found.
I really appreciate that. No, that means a lot coming from you, man. Because again, like I look up I look up to you in many ways, not even just as an actor, but the way you conduct your interviews, the thoughtfulness, the approach. You had Allison Mack on your podcast recently, and
Yeah.
you worked with her for many years on Smallville. And a lot of people, including myself, felt that you handled that conversation in such a very thoughtful way. Like other people who would maybe speak with her, maybe would try to get like clickbait stuff or they would do things, but you were so like gracious in the way you did it. But as a
Thank you.
host, doing interviews like that, where there is a bit of a history, is that a challenge for you as a host to do things like that or no?
Well, the challenge is a lot of people, most people really appreciated the fact that I wasn't giving her a platform. Rather, what I was trying to do was say, this person that I knew for a long time and worked with them, I want to know what happened and how it happened and, how it can be prevented from happening again. And it was a risk, but I felt like I'm just going to talk to her like a human being and say, what went wrong? And, I thought it was a really good episode too. I was really proud of it. And a lot of people in the industry came to me and, they're like, dude, like Al Goff, creator of Smallville. He's like,
Yeah.
I loved the interview. You did such a great job. And I wasn't trying to give her a platform to be like, this and that. And I was like saying, hey, what you did was wrong. You acknowledge that, and how she got there, and what she's going to do to make it right, if that's possible. So, that's what I was trying to do, and so I appreciate that you watched it. It was probably the biggest episode I've ever done. I think over a million people have listened, and the podcast is Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, by the way, everybody. If you want to listen and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And we have what we call patrons, and the patrons, you could join different tiers and support the podcast in different ways, get packages from me, and get your name shouted out, be on the show. So you join Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you. But without my patrons, I couldn't do it. They're so supportive.
I want to do a quick little speed round with you. Just a quick
Let's
little
do
fun
it.
like thing. We'll end it off, okay?
I'm ready.
All right. So, one sec. We're gonna just. All right, here we go. Trunks or no trunks for Superman?
You mean what do you mean trunks?
Like those, like
Like
the red trunks that he wears that people call like a diaper or something.
I mean it's iconic, right? Isn't it iconic?
To me, it is. People think it. I don't know. People were kind of like when David Cornswell was wearing it for him. A lot of people were like, "Oh, they shouldn't have done it because Henry Cavill didn't
I'm
do
gonna
it."
say yes, trunks.
I think it needs the trunks too. That's what makes
Needs the
Superman
trunk.
Superman. You need
Come
that
on.
diversity.
Yeah.
Uh, top five villains from the DC universe.
Ooh, top five villains. Um, Lex Luthor, Joker, Brainiac, Darkseid, Sinestro.
Ooh, those are good picks.
All
That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
One superhero movie that you think is overrated.
Ooh, that's hard. Overrated. I don't know if any are like overrated. Like there's some that are that get shit on. That I didn't like that movie. Was it Superman and Batman?
Oh, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't really love that one.
I didn't like that one either. I didn't like. I'll be honest with you. Besides Man of Steel, I didn't like the Justice League. The Zack Snyder Justice League I thought was better, but
Yeah, he's
yeah,
super
Batman versus
talented. I
Superman.
just remember watching it, going, You know what? I'll tell you this. I won't say what is overrated or underrated, but what I will say is stop using too much CGI.
Hmm.
Practicals are the way to go. I want to feel like I can touch something. I don't want to feel like everything is CGI. I can't relate. I can't do it.
I miss those like again. I wasn't around in the '90s, obviously, but those '90s movies you watch. Like, did you ever watch like Neverending Story, for example?
Yeah,
Like that was like Falcor, the flying. What
it
was he?
was
A
a
dragon
puppet,
thing?
right?
It was a puppet, but that made it. That added so much to the movie. I feel like
Yeah,
we're missing
man.
that, man.
I don't know why. It's just like they want to spend all this money on these worlds, and I get it, but like I just yeah, I have a problem with it. I love the Batman's, the Tim Burton's Batman, or
Thank you. Finally, someone agrees with me on this.
yeah, 100%. But I also really like what's his name as
Robert Pattinson.
no as I've never seen that one. Is that good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
The Robert Pattinson one?
yeah, it's a good. I like it.
I'm talking Christian Bale. I like Christian Bale. I saw one of those, one or two. That's Christopher Nolan, right?
Yeah, I just didn't like Christian Bale's voice. If I'm being honest, that was the only thing I didn't like. The voice was too much.
I'm Batman.
It was
This
like
is how.
he's like very
You know,
very
like that.
raspy.
He's such a great actor, though. I kind of bought into it. I
Same,
like,
yeah. No, but
yeah.
I agree though. I agree on that. I agree. Um, two more. I got one acting role that you wished you got, but you didn't.
I remember reading for Band of Brothers, testing and reading with Tom Hanks, and that would have been really cool to do. I wish I could have done that. Um, what's another movie that I wish I would have gotten? I think Goodwill Hunting. I think I read for that, and that would have been a great movie to be a part of.
Wait, for which role?
I think it was the Casey Affleck part. Is that right? Was he in that?
I forgot. I'll be honest,
I
I don't
think it
know.
was Goodwill Hunting. Hold on. Let me look it up so I don't sound like an idiot. Yeah. Um, is Casey Affleck in Goodwill Hunting? It says yes. Hold on.
Maybe it was a smaller role. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's in it. Smaller role, but I remember reading for it, and that movie became so big that I was like, man, that would have been cool.
Wow.
I auditioned for Star Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that would have changed my life, but
Dude, I could totally see that though.
yeah, I would have had a blast with it. But Chris Pratt was genius. I
Oh,
can't
Chris,
see
that's
any.
amazing. Yeah, but I could see you in that. You guys have very similar like vibes, you know?
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was amazing. But yeah.
Cool. And my last one, it's your favorite guest on Inside of You, and actually it's like a two-parter, and your dream guest on Inside of You. And actually, before you say your dream guest, I'm gonna guess who your dream guest is. I already know who it is because
All
I've seen
right.
you talk about him. But tell me first your favorite guest.
Favorite guest? It varies. I've had so many great guests. I mean, William H. Macy was great. Alan Richardson opened up so much about being bipolar, and that was groundbreaking. He really helped so many people out that suffer with mental illness, and um, all my guests are great in many different ways. Having Tom Welling, my cohort from Smallville, on there has always been fun. Um, Recently having Fred Armisen on was great. Uh, so many great. Bob Odenkirk's a great guest. I love him, and I think, and now guests, my wants, my needs. Who do I want to have on the podcast?
I already know, Michael. Al Pacino. You talked about him so many times.
No, I'd love to get Al Pacino, but I never said Al Pacino.
No, 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 but I've heard you like always. You always talk about him in certain instances in your podcast. You'll bring him up sometimes, like about
Yeah,
great actors and stuff. So I'm like, oh, maybe he wants to get him on or something.
but my two favorites that you're missing are Gary Oldman and Adam Sandler.
Oh, dude, the Sandman
Those,
on Inside of You would have been crazy.
yeah, and also this guy Brian, not, Bill Camp. What a great actor, Bill Camp.
Bill
Look
Camp.
him up. He's been in everything, but Bill Camp. But I love doing the podcast. Like I got so many great ones coming up. Vincent D'Onofrio, Dolph Lundgren, Renee
Oh yeah,
Seaton.
I spoke to Dolph Lundgren. He's amazing, dude. What a great
He's,
guy.
he's amazing. Bob Odenkirk's coming back. Kristen Ritter, Huey Lewis, Gene Simmons, Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek. Nick Frost is coming back. So a lot of great ones.
Incredible, man.
This has been
Incredible.
fun, dude. You're great.
And I just got to give a shout out to you have a product for dogs. I just want to let everybody know about this. I have
Yes.
the name right here. It is called Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. It's a product for dogs. Where can people get that, Michael?
Go to Amazon. I started smelling not started, but I was smelling my dog's breath, and I was like, man, we got to come up with something like puppy fresh. Like it smells like a puppy, or this like something. And so I came up with Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. It's a picture of me and my dogs on the cover, and it's just a cap full in your dog's water. It's odorless and tasteless, so your dog doesn't know the difference, and your dog's breath gets better and better. So Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath on Amazon.
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this today. I had such a blast. I want to really hopefully stay in touch with you if you're down.
Yeah.
Love to pick your brain and stuff. And I would love to send you my movie too, just to, you don't have to watch, but I'd
Send it
love to just
over,
send you a
man.
link.
Send it over.
Yeah, we just got on Prime in the US for free. So actually, you can just watch it there. It's free on there. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm happy for you, dude. You're living the dream. You're doing it. You're still young. Just go after it, and don't forget to be a kind person. Just be a good person, and
thank you,
you'll
Michael.
you'll do just fine.
I appreciate it. Well, have a great day. It was an honor. Thank you.
Great seeing you, man. Thanks for it. That was great.
Thank you. Bye bye.
I'm gonna write them off again. Funny how.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.